Welcome everybody to this edition of Uplift by Raised. And I am so grateful to have today on our studio. Actually, it's not my studio, but it is her office. It's Miss Issa Litton.
Hey.
And Issa, when I met her a couple months ago, I met her with a mutual friend, and I said to myself, oh my gosh, this woman is amazing. She had the personality that just lit up a room. And when I did a little research on her, I found out that she's actually the president of One Lit Corporation that specializes in talent management, training hosts and speakers, and she's also an actress, right? I think that is what she does. I mean, I have found her to be such an amazing personality. I wanted to invite her onto the podcast to talk about, how she was able to succeed in her life and in this kind of a business, in this industry, which is probably oftentimes very competitive, right?
Oh, very.
Yeah, and how she became who she is. Without any further ado, love to welcome Ms. Issa Litton. So thank you for being on our show, Issa.
Thank you very much, Raymond.
I'm very excited to have you here because you just had this personality that I thought was amazing. And when I saw some of the work that you did on your professional level, speaking on various stages across the country at some of the most higher level events.
Corporate
Right.
lifestyle government.
Yeah, corporate lifestyle in government. And I said to myself, oh man, I'd love to hear her story. So Issa, were you always this enthusiastic, even when you were in high school?
Even as a kid, yes. I was always the kid who would raise there's a question, you immediately raise your hand and I know, or even if I don't know, I want to give it a try.
Yeah.
I was always that, except for one class, which with the help of my mom, I also overcame. And can you guess what class that is?
Mm-hmm.
One subject.
That's one.
What do you think is the subject that didn't get me?
Math.
No, I love math actually.
Oh, really?
I love math.
Because I was really
That's
bad
pretty good at math. That's pretty good at math.
What subject was that? History?
A little bit, but the thing is, as long as I listened or I do my research, it's like storytelling. So
Okay.
history was also pretty good.
Okay. It's not public speaking. I don't think there's a course in that.
Filipino.
Oh.
Because I could understand, but I was terrible at speaking it. Because we grew up with English at home, and then I kind of knew Bisaya more because my yaya was Bisaya.
Oh.
But it was the Filipino, the Tagalog, that I was struggling with.
Right.
And it made sense. And now, honestly, even with my host, I'm like, hello, we live here in the Philippines. That is not an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing growing up was, I know book reading Filipino, so I sounded like a book. Pupunta tayo ngayon sa ganyan. Versus...
Sounds like me.
Yeah, versus, punta tayo sa ganyan. I mean, versus street or everyday, what's it?
So it's
colloquial.
it's like proper Tagalog.
Well, bookish.
Yeah.
I sounded like someone speaking from a book. So it was my mom, honestly, who helped me overcome that. She's like, you know what? Again, it's not about being right. So I started this off by saying, even if I didn't know the answer, I wanted to give it a try. So if I already had that attitude in place, even with something I was struggling with, just keep giving it a try. And next thing you know, you're better. And I have to credit my grade school friends, my grade school barkada. How they helped me was I had to speak in Tagalog, in Filipino, and if I would utter one English word, they'd make me pitik. So they'd be like, aha!
Ow!
And that's it. Ow! Aray! So it had to be aray. So that's one of my fondest memories with my grade school barkada, especially Lara. Hi, Lars. So that's it. And again, just that feeling of, hey, why not nga? Putting yourself out there, because even if you're not good at it now, if you put in the effort, eventually you'll get better. I'm not even going to go all the way to say you'll be the best at it. Watch that. But embrace that you're not there yet now, but there's a yet. So put in the time, put in the effort to get better. And next thing you know, I'm hosting for the NCCA, National Commission for Culture and the Arts. and it's pure all Filipino, and it's an old school Filipino.
And you have to communicate in Tagalog.
Yeah. As long as I have a script, I can pull it off. But then sometimes when you're like, palakpakan naman po tayo, palakpakan natin ang ating panauhin ngayong gabi, stuff like that. I couldn't do that back then, maybe like 10 years, 15 years ago or so. But at least now, even in LGU, that's why I said government, barangay level, you can't do it in English. Especially, cities, communities, you really have to say it in Tagalog. And the respectful Tagalog. Yun. Kung maaari lang kung maayos ang pagpila, stuff like that. Because we're in the Philippines. So honestly, no excuse. How can you not communicate in Filipino? And no offense to our...
Oh, I totally
kababayans
understand
abroad.
because I've only been here for maybe about on and off now for about 5 years. So I'm struggling with my Tagalog.
But you're putting in the effort
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to learn at least one word a day.
Good. That's a
Yeah.
good one. And find ways to keep using the word.
Exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
That's a good practice.
Although I do sound very maybe bookish, people could tell right away that I am not from here. Okay. And when I first met you, your English was so perfect. I said to myself, she didn't grow up in the Philippines.
No, I
She must
grew
have
up
grew
here.
up in the States. She must have grew up somewhere
Nope.
else. She must have grew up in Europe or somewhere because her English
Thanks
is
to
so
TV.
perfect.
Honestly, thanks to TV.
Really?
And well, my dad, my mom and dad. But no, my mom's side of the family spoke Filipino. My lola, it was the tita, tito. And la, kamusta ka? So, but my dad's side of the family, definitely English. Littons apparently are, did they get this right? Either from England or Scottish or something like that. But
Yeah.
definitely our forefathers came from there. Someone went over to China or Hong Kong and then married to someone here in the Philippines. Something like that. That was the journey of the Littons, I think.
Yeah, that's
If I
how they
remember
found
right.
you. That's how
My aunt is gonna kill me. She's like, we talk about this in our reunions and you can't get the details right. Sorry, Aunt Edwina. But it's something like that.
So, how did you get into your line of business?
Okay. There are two stories. One, as a practicing host, I was modeling. I was in college.
So you were also a model then?
Yeah, commercial modeling and ramp. Just having fun, nothing serious, right? Everyone was like, project, just having fun, playing dress up.
Right.
So it was like one of those campus tours. It was a newspaper campus tour. So they were in the campus. They got together a bunch of college students, and we put on clothes. And we were in the final tableau. There were like 12, 15 of us. A tableau, just strike a pose, hold that pose. And then there was a lady, a girl, the host, was like, "Hi, everybody. Are you having fun?" And I just noticed no one was minding her. I was like directly behind her. So all I did was like reach out and tap her shoulder, like, excuse me, grabbed her mic. Yo, she's asking if you're having fun. Suddenly I've been, yeah, in the crowd, okay, cool, thank you, back to you.
That was it.
Then going down, the floor director,
Yeah.
the stage manager's like, the director's asking who you are, what's your name? I'm like, oh, okay. That's one. So there have been write-ups about that story when it really says, I grabbed the mic at at a fashion show that I was
Right.
modeling at, and the rest is history. There's a qualification to that because I wasn't rude to the person. Because when you hear grab the mic, it's like, what the heck, right? It's like, no, I tapped her shoulder. Excuse me. It just came naturally. And for me, it was an instinct to help her out because, hey,
Yeah.
no one's minding her,
Yeah.
right? So it wasn't like, look at me, I'm the star. I don't know, you can interpret that whatever way you want, but there's just something in me that did that at that moment. Because there's so many ways to look at it. But again, I'm already at the point in my life, you're entitled to your opinion, but that's my story, that's my truth. Don't I can't control you from putting meaning into what I was doing, but it is what started this.
Yeah.
Then the other story is, I'm in theater, and I was just asked, hey, there's an audition. Ah, cool, okay. So in my head, I thought I was auditioning for a play. When I got there, the director just barely looks at me, plops a script, or like it looked like a telephone book, this thick. Memorize as much as you can, present to me in 10 minutes. Okay.
10 minutes?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay. I'm just, okay, what the hell, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm very competitive, okay? I really just, I'm not gonna apologize for that anymore, but I was very hungry to show what I could do, to push, to even see what I could do. There's just that inner thirst to prove yourself, to show what you can, in proving what you can do is also surprising yourself what you can do. I just want to say that's a two-fold or layered.
Would you say
push.
that would be one of your most biggest qualities about yourself?
Well, there's something I've discovered about that now. But okay, just back to the first story. What started this whole thing? So there you go, 10 minutes. I did it.
Yeah.
Finally, I think I memorized like four or five pages or something like that. But a lot. Then he looks at me. What's your name? I say, hi, I'm Issa Litton. Okay, you got the job. Great. What's the job? I didn't even know what the job was. It's just like, do you not know what you're here for? I heard it's an audition, and obviously you gave me a script, so memorize or deliver what I could.
Right.
You're here. It was for the Filipino Chronicles. It was the centennial show of Philippine independence, 1998. So when did we earn our 1898, right? Something like that. So
That's
centennial.
about 20, yeah.
So centennial, the 100-year
Yeah.
celebration. So RPN 9 had this show, and like Filipino firsts, like the very first Miss Universe. I'm not sure if she married a Filipino or someone trained her. There are all these. I was the part that had either a lifestyle tidbit or a sports tidbit or a science, like how it was a Filipino who invented the cannon. Did I get that right? If I remember, forgive me, please. This was 1998. Okay, so and it was all given to me via script. I can't remember back then. So stuff like that, trivia
Right.
on things Filipinos did the past 100 years. So that was my first television show.
Wow.
And then from there, the producers of that, someone from PBA, Philippine Basketball Association, saw me from that. I was a sophomore in college. And it just, hey, we want her. Put her also in basketball. And I'm like, I know nothing about basketball, but sure, I'll do it. So it was always a yes, 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 yes.
It's the power of yes.
Yes. From
Right.
basketball, it became a car show, Auto Extreme. And then from Auto Extreme, it was a travel show with Eric and Epi Quizon and Ronnie, his brothers. It was the Quizon brothers it was their way of bonding. And the qualifier for that was the producer was like, we need someone, articulate and game. Because they always say, the others are like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I miss, yeah, I'll do it. Right? I grew up in the back of my dad's pickup. Papa was a middleman for mangoes. He would sell mangoes or fruits. He would export them. So I had a great childhood because I'd go from province to province in the back of my papa's car, just falling asleep, sleeping in his suppliers' farms. I know what it's like to take a shower in the batis with a kalabaw by the batis. So it was a very good childhood. Fresh air. I know what fresh air feels like.
So you didn't grow up in a privileged childhood, right?
I went to school. I think that's
Yeah.
privileged enough, right? So, but if you're gonna say, did we not? Okay, we never went fully hungry, but there were years we had to tighten our belts because again, my dad's a farmer, and there are years that now, especially with climate change, there are bad years. There's no crops. There's no harvest. So what are we gonna do? Right? So you learn to prioritize education first. Maybe don't shop for clothes yet because we have enough anyway. No toys this year. We had moments like those, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. We don't have, luxury cars. My dad's pickup was he called it Nelly. He would name his cars, and I actually took on that habit as well. All my cars have names, but I have the fondest memories of that car. All the way from childhood till college, till it finally conked out in the middle of EDSA when I was in college. And I had my best friend push it because he was like, "This is such an old car." And you know, it was like, but I kept going, "No, it's still alive."
You know, I have spoken with a lot of successful people, and a lot of them had the same message that they grew up not as a very privileged environment. They just grew up with a proper mindset, right? What would your mindset be that helped propel you from you know, because you could still be living in those conditions, right? You could still be a farmer's daughter. You could still be working in a farm. But you found yourself living here. I mean, she lives in Makati. I don't. You can't see it right now, but she lives in a gorgeous, amazing apartment.
Well, this is my partner's place.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
still amazing. Her lifestyle is far different than what you grew up in, right? Would you say?
I'm I'm blessed to be earning well, and well means I get to put my daughters through school. We get to have vacations, and I get to buy my biggest capricho is shoes. You know, yes, but if you're saying what was my mindset,
Yeah.
we always had enough. So that's why with that word privilege,
Yeah. Maybe it's blessed.
yeah, well, that's also abused, that term. But enough. What is enough? You have a roof on your head. You have food on the table. You have clothes. You have friends. You have people who love you, right? If you have that, everything else on top is the cherry or more dessert sprinklers, right? It's sprinkles.
That's really beautiful because so many people have all that.
And
but
yet
it's
they're
still
so
not-
unhappy.
it's
Exactly.
Still unhappy.
No, no. I don't see it that way. Again, maybe it's because of my papa, my mama. Both hardworking, both definitely enjoyed what they were doing. You don't have to struggle because you're given what you need. But yet that didn't make me not hungry. Because when you say privileged, I have this idea in my head that are you just the one to sit back and like, okay. It's not even relax. It's just I have the freedom to say I don't want to work today, or it's okay because there's money. How do I put it? See, I'm struggling. That word privilege. Everyone's idea of privilege is just trust funds maybe.
Yeah.
That's definitely not me. That's not me. I'm trying to be real in that sense. But I also don't want to look like there was a year you missed paying the tuition. I don't know. Maybe my parents never just gave that burden to us. But we definitely had some hard years.
How did that change you? How did that strengthen you? Made you more resolved in making sure that your children didn't suffer the same kind of.
Oh boy, sorry about that, Raymond. But my children are the product of a separated family, so I can't say making sure I didn't make them suffer. Any child from separated families mature quickly. They will always be. There's deep-seated issues, but just know that there is healing from it as long as you're honest about it. Because in my generation, it was taboo when you say your parents are separated. And I've seen how friends, batchmates, because you have retreats, right?
Yeah.
How they really break down. It tore them apart. My mom and dad had their issues also, but I spoke about it at least to friends or to a guidance counselor. When you keep it in, that's the enemy. I think that's what just destroys you. I'm into traditional Chinese medicine now. It's like there's this thing called shadow work, healing trauma. It rings a bell because it's all stored in your body. So when people say my lower back is hurting or like my upper back, anything apparently behind are things you're not ready to confront yet or you're not aware of. But if you have pain in front, like your tummy aches or like your heart, your chest, something, those are triggers of things you're aware of, but you're still not sure how to deal with.
No, that's really interesting that you said that because, so are you saying that if you have pain in the back, it's trauma from the past?
or something
And
you're not, that hasn't come
haven't-
to light.
Okay.
You're not aware of, or you're not, you're you're not ready to confront.
And if it's a pain in the front, is it more fear about the future?
No, it's something you already know, but you're not dealing with. It's like,
That's really interesting.
this is all still new to me again. I'm not an expert on
Yeah.
this, but there are truths in what I'm discovering. That's why I wanted to say earlier on, if I were gonna get back to that feeling of proving yourself.
Yeah.
That's where my journey is taking me, because what is it? Middle child.
Yeah.
You want the attention because you're the ones who, middle children apparently, or what they say, you hardly get attention.
And how many kids in your family?
4. I'm really the middle child. I have a kuya, an ate. I'm in between 3 girls. So ate and me and my younger sister.
Okay.
So really the middle child, right?
Yeah.
So they say you're the one starved for
For
attention. But you know what? Worked for me.
Because here you are.
Right? So I am where I am, and I do love it. I love where I am. So why will I deny that? Why should I be ashamed of that?
Yeah.
It's what made me, or it is part of me.
So you were able to use your past trauma
Yeah.
to help catapult you to where you are today, right? And it helped define you.
Oh yes.
Because there's a lot of people out there who are experiencing trauma, right? Whether they're divorced or they came from a broken family.
Yep.
And it's defining them, but at more negatively, right? You're using your trauma to define you in a positive way because you're able to look at almost like the sunny side of the trauma and define you in a way that maybe suits where you're at today.
Maybe because everyone deals with struggles and challenges differently. Where I'm coming from is I don't want to feel this way forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also the recognition of I'm not in control of that. And I am a control freak, you guys. I'm gonna be very, very honest. I am a big control freak. So I'm still struggling with it. I'm still learning this, but it's really recognizing what am I in control of? My feelings, my words, my act, and then not denying the truth of those feelings. My inner monologue says, I want to hurt you. There's a monologue that says, why this person, why? I'm not gonna deny myself that. But am I a bad person? No. Because I'm just being truthful. Now I'm gonna accept, okay, I felt that way because why? I feel inadequate because I felt small. I felt unprepared for that moment. Or I felt like I was taken advantage of. I felt like they didn't see my worth. Those are my inner truths. Despite this, you keep saying confident, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's got some sort of inner truth, inner struggle, inner trauma. And I sometimes overcompensate, yes. But then it is also for me because it can get better and it will be better when you start to recognize, wait, this is destroying me. This is hurting me more if I'm not honest with myself. Or I'm not ready to deal with this yet. So, okay, I'm going to step back. But then what can I do to get over this? So I talk to someone. And make sure, please, 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 when you do talk to someone, it's the right people.
Yeah.
Because when you talk to someone who will wallow in that pain with you, magnify the hurt you're feeling, oh, that's dangerous ground. It's not healing. You're just keeping yourself there. And why would you want to do that, right? So little bits, definitely little bits. Like, hey, I'm going to feel better in a bit. Maybe tomorrow. It's another day.
Who was your mentor whenever you were feeling that? Who were the ones who helped you in the times when you were struggling?
Well, first off, Papa. I'm very close to my dad. So thankfully I have him. And he's such a quiet guy. But he knows me. One look. It's like, hey, come here. What's up?
One look and he knows that there's
Yeah.
something wrong.
Yeah, and I'm hoping I have that kind of relationship with my children as well. I know my children are not perfect, but I'd like to really believe, or I'm working on knowing them.
and growing with them.
Definitely. Like in parent-teacher conferences,
Yeah.
you know, we sit down. I'll be like, hey, what happened to the subject? Blah, blah, blah. And then you see the teacher's face like, oh, how do I tell her? I'm like, I know she draws while, you know, she doesn't listen in class. And then the teacher's like, I'm like, yeah, I know. She's easily distracted. They're like, see, I'm like, stuff like that. Like, I know my daughter. It's okay. So if you tell me something totally out from left field, I'll be like, okay, what's this? And what's nice is my daughter usually goes to me first. She's like, Mama, you're going to be called to school tomorrow, and I wanted you to hear it from me first. So stuff like that, it's like, oh, thank you, Lord. I must be doing something right because we have that kind of,
communicating,
yes,
that kind of relationship.
that if I know you stumbled, I know you did something wrong, even down to when a bunch of parents had to go together. Other parents like, my child would never do that. I'm like, oh, whatever, they're curious. Come on, just tell us what the punishment is. But for me, the punishment for someone who did it should be different from someone who brought it. I'm not going to go into too much details, but something like that, right? So why are we denying our children are growing up? They're curious or whatever, right? And good thing they're making these mistakes now rather than much later when they're adults and you're really accountable for yourself. So, okay, back to your question. Who's my mentor? Definitely first, Papa. Thankfully, I did grow up with good friends who would listen. And, you know, we all had family struggles, but we never pushed each other to drink some more, do drugs. We were not that. I found a group who would bring it out in theater, there. My acting teachers, definitely. Annabelle Deslim, especially. The pain. And now, Derek Ryan Carlos, bubog, basag, bubog, basag. Any kind of pain, that's gold in your pocket because you have access to that emotion. You have access to that experience. Of course, I'm not wishing anyone harm or wrong, right? But you are given your set of struggles.
Everybody has it,
Exactly.
right? And how you were able to recover, from what I'm getting at, two things, two P's. One is personality, meaning yourself. You have a high level of self-love, right?
I'm
And number
working
two,
on that. Thank you.
people. Right. So I'm writing this book called The 21 P's of Personal Power. And I talk about one is personality, meaning your personality of self-love, your personality for yourself.
Or you're aware
Your
of
awareness.
your worth, what you can do for yourself.
Exactly.
Yes, I agree with that.
And the second one is people, meaning it's the people that you surround yourself with. It's actually going to help you, pull you out of the times when your own awareness of your self-love is inadequate.
Yeah.
Right?
But caution on people though. Sometimes you do not get that chance to be surrounded in good company. And I'm just being very, very real with you because again, being in this industry, dog eat dog,
I could only
very
imagine
competitive.
how hard it is.